It's the Cool Kids Club. You've been invited to the Cool Kids Club. It's so exciting, yeah. Justin likes monsters, yeah. And Amy likes words in the Cool Kids Club. Cool Kids Club.
I'm ready. Radio voice.
Podcast mode engaged.
Engage. Podcast mode. Hey kids, it's us. I'm saying that's the intro.
That's the intro?
Welcome to that should be the intro.
Perfect.
Yeah. Welcome to the Cool Kids Club podcast, episode number 57. 57.
Wow. It's a good year.
Here we are. We're back. I am one of your hosts of the podcast, one of America's favorite siblings, Justin.
Trademark pending. I am your other host and other America's favorite sibling, and my name is Amy. What you been up to this weekend?
Nothing. Not a damn thing.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I was out of town last weekend,
Yep.
down in Florida for a couple days.
Yep.
So it was a busy couple of days. So this weekend I didn't really, make any plans of any kind. It's just been a little, Justin time around here.
That's great. That sounds like a great time.
Yeah, not bad at all. How about you?
Well, today I've not done much of anything. Yesterday I went out and actually saw the new Little Mermaid. Since we're talking about a movie today.
A movie?
Yeah, it's a movie club episode. Went to see the new Little Mermaid. Gotta say, it was excellent.
Really? Okay.
It was great. Probably one of the best live action. I don't really care about the live action versions of everything that they're doing.
Sure.
And was probably pretty skeptical of this one. As things started coming in, just because I don't feel like any of it's necessary.
Right, and the OG Little Mermaid for you, that's a big one.
That's a big one, yeah.
That's a big boy.
But this was excellent. I mean, I was always going to go see it because I love the Little Mermaid. But, with those live actions where it's very CGI heavy, you're always going to kind of walk a line of like, does this look ridiculous? I thought it was great. I loved the things they added to flesh out the story better. There was a couple new songs added in. I thought everybody did a great job. But it was great. I really have no notes for it. I thought it was excellent.
2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. Gotta say. But yeah, I went and saw that yesterday.
You heard it here first, everyone.
That's right. Yeah, it was good. And then came back here and watched 2 more movies, including...
2 more movies?
The movie that we're going to talk about today. I had to give that a rewatch.
Oh, snap. So what are we talking about today? You mentioned that it's Movie Club.
It is Movie Club. We're back.
It's our summertime movie club.
Now, what was our last movie club?
The last one was the Ninja Turtles 1 and 2.
Oh, that's right. That was a twofer.
A twofer. A double feature.
Yeah. This is just a single feature. We're going back to just singles.
Unfortunately, this did not become a franchise that spawned tons of sequels.
And merchandise.
A la Ernest, like Bob in the Army.
Oh, you know what?
Bob Goes to Camp.
Would have loved those.
A Bob Christmas.
Oh, Bob Saves Christmas.
Bob Saves
of course
Christmas.
He would.
Yeah. A Bob Halloween Adventure.
What are we talking about?
Oh, man.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about the Bob Cinematic Universe that I've created.
The BCU.
On the fly, the BCU. No, we're talking. What about Bob?
Oh man.
One of my all-time favorite comedies.
God.
They truly do not make movies like this anymore.
They don't.
I texted you that last night as I was watching it. Like, you just don't get movie. I mean, these like kind of mid-tier, mid-budget comedies. It's like studio,
but like
comedies.
Very smartly written. Just really hits.
Yes.
It's so good.
I don't know. Do you feel like this is a classic amongst our contemporaries, or do you think this is like more of a me and you thing that we specifically grew up watching this?
I think it's the latter. Okay. I don't think this is.
Ooh, look who's fancy now. The latter.
I don't think this is necessarily like if you were to ask other people our age, like favorite 90s comedies. This isn't going to pop up on a lot of people's lists because I think...
Because they weren't middle-aged
Because they were correct. They were not middle-aged people. Now, I know our friends Harold and Katie both love this movie. And does that not seem like a Harold and Katie thing?
Oh,
Yes.
very much so.
Now, I'm not...
Harold and Katie approved.
Yes. Which is really how you know a movie is good, in my opinion. Now, I don't know. I've not talked to them about if this was something they watched growing up or came to later on. But it is something... We definitely had it recorded. Did we not? Off TV.
Oh,
yeah,
for sure. I don't know that this... I feel like we had this recorded off, like, HBO.
Yeah, like a free movie
Showtime
weekend.
Or something. I don't recall it having commercials.
Yes, no, I don't recall it having commercials either. When I started it, I mean, it's been a long time. Probably a good 10 years since I've watched it. Of course, I've watched it probably 20 times, but, you know, it's been a...
That's being conservative.
Yeah, it's been a long, long time. And so when we put it on last night, just the score, and I'll see if I can get just like a little sample to put in, but the score...
It's a...
Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do.
It's very jaunty.
It is... That's probably what the subtitle said. Jaunty.
That is
jaunty
probably
score
what the subtitle
playing.
says.
Jaunty score plays.
That is really the best way to
It
describe
is.
it, though. It's jaunty.
It is. That whole beginning where we're being introduced to Bob and Gil, of
The
course.
opening credits with Gil the goldfish.
Gil the goldfish. And him going to work, and he's like going to work for the day, and he just turns his chair around to his desk and clocks.
That's how I felt during the pandemic.
Yes.
I saw that scene where he's just like, okay, gotta go to work, and he just turns his chair around and
Yeah.
clocks in.
It's just
Like,
a good bit.
That's what working remote was.
Yeah. But Bob has to do it, of course, because Bob has a lot of... as he would say, I got a lot of problems. He's right. He says, I got a lot of problems.
He's got a few problems.
Now, what... So tell us about, like... You want to give us a little background first on how this movie came to be, maybe, and then we'll get into the plot.
Well, it came to be like most movies come to be, where someone wrote a script and they made the movie. Tom Schulman is the guy who wrote the screenplay for this, and he is most famous for Dead Poets Society, which was kind of like semi-autobiographical.
That is a very different vibe than this movie.
A very different
But a
vibe,
great
yes.
movie. Oh my god, I love that movie as well.
Now, I haven't seen Dead Poets Society probably since high school.
What? That is actually
It's
on
been
a
a long
letterbox
time
list
since
I
I've seen
have that is just entitled "Due for a Rewatch." Right now, it only has 3 films on it.
I would call that due for a rewatch with me as well, because it's been a
Let's
long
watch that. It's a fall movie. It feels like a good November.
time. No, yeah, I do remember that.
It feels like a good
it's like an
November,
October.
like, because in October I pretty much can't watch anything if it's not scary, and then I try to
You're talking about that
sweet in between
Halloween and Christmas.
Yes, where this past year I watched all the Twilight movies. By the way, perfect time to do a Twilight rewatch is the month of November. All those movies are very, like, kind of fall.
Autumnal.
They're very autumnal, kind of bleak, like very good. But that's also that's when we'll watch Dead Poets Society this year.
Okay, we'll do it and report back. Maybe we'll do a podcast.
Maybe
about it. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Which is crazy. Who knows what we'll do?
So originally, speaking of Dead Poets Society, Robin Williams was originally attached to play Bob.
Could see that,
but he
definitely
was like kind of early on in the development, I think, like because Tom Schulman
knew him and had
wrote
worked
it,
with
and
him.
so I knew him and where they were going to work together again. But by the time it got around to being made, Robin Williams was filming Fisher King, which I've never
I have
seen.
never seen that either.
So he couldn't do it. They also, at one point, Woody Allen was going to play Dr. Leo Marvin.
Interesting.
And was considered to direct it, which I thought was interesting because Woody Allen almost directs all his, like, he writes it and directs
Yeah.
it. Like he directs his own projects.
Right, he doesn't.
Also, Woody Allen and we're going to talk a lot about Richard Dreyfuss and his
tour de
incredible
force
performance in this movie.
performance.
This is a tour de force performance by Dreyfuss. It is. It's fantastic.
It is great.
But Woody Allen would have been a Woody Allen. There's no way Woody Allen could have matched the untethered rage that Richard Dreyfuss brings to this role.
Boy, he does. He has a very Dennis Reynolds untethered rage about him. He's also very self-important.
Like, it would not be surprising to hear himself for him to refer to himself as a golden god.
That would not be out of character at all.
That would seem in character like the last third of the movie, especially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. As he just becomes completely untethered.
So this is directed by Frank Oz.
So this is totally... I did not know this. Not to interrupt you. I did not know this was directed by Frank Oz.
Now, who is Frank Oz, for those who don't know?
Frank Oz is a famous puppeteer and also voiced many of the original like Muppets and Sesame Street characters, correct? Yeah.
Yes, for sure. He's like Miss Piggy and Fozzie, and he is also Yoda.
He is.
In Star Wars, of course. So you were not aware that it was Frank Oz?
I was not, nor was I really aware that he directed several movies.
Yeah, he did. I think Muppets Take Manhattan. He did. I know one of the Muppets.
He did.
That one.
He did Little Shop of Horrors, which I knew he had done.
He did Little Shop of Horrors.
I guess somewhere I did know that I knew he'd done like the puppet work for that.
Yeah.
But I guess I didn't realize.
Love Little Shop of Horrors.
He did Dark Crystal, which I knew he did the puppet stuff, and he did the Labyrinth puppets as well, didn't he?
Yeah, that was Henson as well. He also directed Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
I know, and I saw that, and I was like, "Oh God, I love Dirty." That's another movie that I feel like not a lot of people our age would rank. It was something that our parents, or specifically our dad, really liked, and so we watched a lot.
Yes.
What a great, just another. I don't know that we'll ever get to that on Movie Club, but it's so good.
Oh,
Michael Caine and Steve Martin.
Do this forever.
Yeah, maybe in like 5 years we're gonna get to Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a big Steve Martin fan.
Just huge. Yeah.
We're way off. We're way off topic now. But.
But it's okay. It's gonna come back around because we're gonna connect Steve Martin to Bill Murray via SNL.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now we're back.
We've
saved it.
You know what I didn't realize until I was reading about this movie and putting together some notes for the show today was that this was filmed like 3 hours from us. So we need to take a
Is like the house
trip.
there, you think? Still?
Probably. I'm sure I could get some like film.
That sounds like a fun day trip. Yeah.
Yeah. It's only about a 3 hour drive from here, so that would be maybe like a little cool kids club day trip,
road trip. Now this is, I say famously.
We'll listen to Cruising Classics.
Of course. I say famously, but really it's just because that's what I think of when I think of this movie is Lake Winnipesaukee, because it's such a fun...
Lake Winnipesaukee.
So it's supposed to be at Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire, and didn't I read...
Which is a real place.
It is a real place. I read in the trivia somewhere that filming got pushed later in the summer, and they couldn't start filming till like mid-September, and the leaves were already changing in New Hampshire. So they hastily moved the filming to Monetta, Virginia.
Virginia, which is like, I looked at, it's like central Virginia.
Okay.
Like right almost in the middle of the state. Looks very pretty.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm sure. Yeah, it looks gorgeous.
You know, I'm remembering, I just had it flash into my head how we had this on tape. Remember we were talking a few minutes ago? We don't remember the tape having commercials, so it must have been like a free weekend. It was pay-per-view. They ordered it on pay-per-view.
Oh.
Because I remember the pay-per-view commercial before it just like...
Oh,
nostalgia.
Yeah.
I just had a sense memory flashback.
I mean, that's so smart, too.
Ordered it on pay-per-view and recorded it. Yeah,
that's so smart. Because they were just like, we're going to pay $2.99 for it.
If there's any feds listening...
And then...
Sorry, Mom.
Really throwing her under the bus. I mean, was that illegal at the time? I mean, who's stopping you from doing that?
Well, I mean, probably technically, but yeah, good luck catching
something. Really. I mean, I'm sure that's what most people were doing when they ordered pay-per-view. That's probably how we had Jurassic Park, too.
So, almost certainly, yes. My parents did not buy movies at the store.
No, I mean we would do
I don't
pay-per-view
recall.
sometimes. Sometimes as we got a little old, I mean we
Yes.
do Blockbuster sometimes. You know, we would rent a movie.
Sure. I very rarely remember them like buying like a VHS
there were
release
so many
of
ways
something
around
like
it.
would.
Recorded off
Well,
TV.
they were so expensive.
And they were
back
expensive
then too. I mean,
Yeah.
and Batman was I think in '89 was like the first real like affordable. We are way off topic
That's
now. Affordable like big movie release, and it was still like $30 or
Shit.
something.
And
Like,
$30 in
before that, I mean,
'89 or whatever is yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, this was shot in Virginia, so we'll have to make sure to
Virginia.
find those spots and maybe do a little road trip.
I think that sounds like a great idea.
This was released in May of 1991.
Yes.
Oh man,
What? So what the hell? That was
a good year. All the 90s were pretty good.
So, what is this movie? What did this Bob?
Bill Murray is playing the titular Bob.
The
titular
Bob
Bob.
Wiley.
So Bill Murray plays Bob, and Bob is he has a myriad of different mental illnesses.
Yes.
As he says when he finally meets with Dr. Marvin, I've got problems. Which is one of my favorite scenes when he first meets Dr. Marvin in his office. And he's listing the things that happened to him when he like steps outside of his apartment, and he does cold sweats, hot sweats, and then I don't know why that list that he just goes on and on.
I remember fingernail sensitivity.
Yeah, dry mouth.
So he gets pawned off essentially
Yes.
onto Dr. Marvin by his former
Yes.
therapist, who he has
Driven insane.
presumably driven insane and driven to leave therapy
Yeah,
altogether.
yeah. He is hanging it up. He's not even going to practice anymore.
Yeah.
And so Richard Dreyfuss plays Dr. Leo Marvin. I feel like I have to say his full name when I say it. And he is a very...
Dr. Marvin doesn't sound... Dr. Leo
Dr.
Marvin.
Leo Marvin.
Dr. Howdy made it.
Exactly. So he is a very pompous, self-important psychologist, and
He's a
prick. He's a dickhead. He has written...
But he's not bad.
No, he's just...
Like, he's not a bad person. He's just arrogant.
He's very arrogant, yes. And he has just written this book called Baby Steps. And the first time we're really introduced to him is he is getting a phone call, and he's talking about Good Morning America is going to come and do an interview with him at...
To Lake
They're
Winnipesaukee.
coming up to Lake Winnipesaukee on their family vacation. They're going to interview him about his book, and he's about to take off, basically. And so he's
gonna be a
yes, he's going to be like Dr. Ruth, you know. So he's very excited,
Yes.
and this is a big deal for him. You know, he finds himself he's very not in love with himself, but he's just very self-important, very pompous. And well, Bob, he just fucks everything up,
as Bill Murray tends to do.
as Bill Murray tends to do.
Bill Murray
This
characters.
is one of my favorite Bill Murray characters.
Yes.
This is one of my favorite Bill Murray performances.
Same.
He's really unhinged in this one.
Yeah.
He has...
They both are.
They both are. I know. They have... he's got multiple different phobias. He's definitely a germaphobe.
For sure.
When we first see him walking outside of his apartment, he's using like a tissue or napkin or something to open the door. And he lives in presumably like New York City. I know they're shot in New York City, a big city.
Yeah, it's New York City.
And he just immediately, I love that shot of him coming outside, and it's like, you know, the outside world. There's people walking by. There's music playing. There's noise. There's germs. There's dust and everything. And like a bus goes by, and like he's standing there, and then the bus goes by, and you see him again, and he's just on the ground, like in a fetal position. It's so good. It's so good. one of my favorite. Oh, it was just so many. I'm gonna say one of my favorite bits. I feel like 15 times. This is like when we did Austin Powers, and we just talked about
Yes.
how funny every line was.
And Pee-wee.
But
we're just going to
and Pee-wee,
describe
yeah.
this movie scene by scene.
I'm just describing it. When he gets to Dr. Marvin's office and he can't make himself get on the elevator, and so he goes up like 35 flights of stairs or however many it is, and just that shot like down the stairs, and you just hear him like, like going around and around. It's just good.
And then,
just good
and then
stuff.
as the capper to that, after he gets the Dr. Leo Marvin spiel and meets with him and learns about the baby steps and gets a copy of
Yes.
the book, and he gets back, he baby steps out of the office and down, baby
Yes.
steps down the hallway, and then he baby steps onto the elevator.
And he gets
And
on.
he's so hesitant, and then the door closes, and you just hear, "Ah!" You just hear like a blood-curdling scream coming from the elevator.
It's so funny. Oh god, it's good. Well, he believes that this baby steps. He thinks Dr. Leo Marvin is like this miracle worker. Basically, he's like he's fixing me, and so when he goes on vacation,
He being Dr. Leo Marvin,
he being Dr. Leo Marvin,
pronouns pal.
Bob is beside himself, and so he does some shady.
He does some dark stuff.
He does some very dark stuff.
This is a
He
dark
impersonates-
comedy. Like
It is.
in particular, the whole thing's dark when you think about this being like a mentally ill person stalking his doctor. Like it's already, you're already a little dark,
Right. Like, this could be a very different type of movie.
right?
If,
And it
you know what I
almost
mean?
becomes
Like,
one
this,
at the end.
it kind of, yeah, it really does. It really does. So what does Bob do to find out Dr. Leo Marvin's location?
Well, first,
So that he can...
first of course, he calls. So Dr. Marvin has someone who's filling in for him if someone needs to talk to him.
Yeah, sure.
While he's away, and they have like a whole call center, like
Dispatch sort of situation.
dispatch sort of situation. Yeah. So first he calls and just trying to get a hold of Dr. Marvin, and they won't let him through. Then he comes down to the dispatch place, dresses as a detective, and tells them that Bob committed suicide after that phone call, and that he's trying to contact Dr. Marvin. So he cons the sweet little old ladies at the dispatch into giving him
that he's at Lake Winnipesaukee.
that he's at. I love the way the lady who gives him the address says Lake Winnipesaukee, because I don't know, she just has this like sweet middle-aged lady voice,
Yeah.
and she's
Yeah.
like reading it slow, and she's like Lake Winnipesaukee.
Yeah. A win. And then they're all spelling it for him.
Yeah, yes. So this
It's
is how he
just
finds out where Dr. Marvin is, and so he fucking shows up.
Well, also, don't forget that dispatch calls Dr. Marvin in the middle of the night to let him know
tell him that Bob has committed suicide.
that Bob
That's
has committed
right.
suicide. So Richard Dreyfuss is woken up in the middle of the night. He hears the call, or he gets the call, and he tells his wife, played by the amazing Julie Haggerty.
I know her. I know her mostly from this and Airplane.
Oh, okay. She's also plays the mom in Just Friends and does a great job of that as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she's really good in that too.
She talks like this.
She talks like this. But anyway, and so she's like, oh, that's so horrible. And he's like, well, let's not let it ruin our vacation. And then he claps the lights
claps
off.
the
So that
lights
just
off.
gives you like a little bit of a glimpse into what he's like.
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
mentioned his wife Faye. They have 2 kids, named of course after therapist Siggy.
Of course.
Sigmund Marvin. Sigmund Siggy Marvin,
Yes.
who's played by Charlie Korsmo, who I love.
The beer has gone bad.
Yeah.
That's what I think of when I think of Charlie Korsmo.
Yes.
He can't hardly wait. That's just.
I love. Can't
When are
hardly
we
wait.
gonna do a movie club on Can't Hardly Wait?
Anytime you want, let me know.
Any time.
And then Anna is his daughter. She's like kind of a high school age girl. Mm-hmm. And Julie Haggerty,
But she's played by the 25-year-old Catherine Erb.
Yes, she is.
In this
fact,
movie.
Julie Haggerty, who plays her mom, is only actually 10 years older than her
Yes.
in real
Yes.
life.
But she straight up looks like a high school student.
Oh, she looks very young.
Yeah.
And then you also get Lily, who kind of pops in at the end. She is
Leo's sister.
Leo's sister, who lives in Chicago. So at this point, Dr. Marvin's under the presumption that Bob is dead.
And does not care.
By his own hand.
Yeah.
And is, he's bummed, but he's not going to let it ruin his vacation and his Good Morning America interview.
No.
Except for
These are the things that are important.
Except for the next morning when they're in town, and Bob finds it by standing in the middle of the street and yelling his name over and over.
Can we just... I know that Bob's already here in Lake Winnipesaukee, but can we just talk real quick about how he gets there?
Oh, yes.
Because the journey... I mean, you would imagine for a man with many phobias... traveling from New York... Travel's not great. Traveling from New York City to Lake Winnipesaukee poses quite a few challenges.
Uh-huh.
And him getting on the bus and just turning to that woman and being like... What does he say? He's like, "Hi, my name is Bob. Will you knock me out, please?"
Just hit me in the face.
Just hit me in the face. And of course he's traveling with Gil. His goldfish. In a jar around his neck because he can't leave Gil at home.
Right, yeah. So Gil's with him on the trip. He's his sidekick. And they go...
We also didn't talk about the Neil Diamond thing.
Okay,
and
well, let's talk about the Neil Diamond thing. There are two types of people in this
world. We're all over the place
world.
with it. It's just so good. When he's talking to Dr. Marvin in his office, and Dr. Marvin asks if he's ever been married, and he says he was, and he's divorced. And he asks, like, what happened? And he's like, there are two kinds of people in the world. People who love Neil Diamond, and people who don't. And you're like, okay. And he's like, my wife loved Neil Diamond. And to imply that the reason they were divorced is because she was too in love with Neil Diamond.
It definitely was not him.
Definitely not him and his many neuroses and phobias.
Sure. Sure.
Definitely not. It's just it's a great line. But he ends up once he gets into town, he screams in the street for Leo Marvin, Dr. Leo Marvin.
And it works.
It does work, Yeah. I mean, it's a strategy. He went with it, and it worked. Paid off.
Yeah. So now Dr. Marvin knows that not only is Bob actually alive, but he is here with my family.
Look, can we just talk about how Richard Dreyfuss is correct?
The whole movie.
The entire movie. He is an asshole.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
He is arrogant.
He's a prick, but
he is in the right.
Everyone else is wrong.
Yes.
In this scenario, except him.
And this really is like a true nightmare situation where you're like, how am I the only person who sees
this?
How inappropriate this... Like, if you took... Like we just said, like, this could have been a very different movie.
Uh-huh.
This could be like a dark thriller of like someone's mentally ill patient comes to, stalk them and their family, won't leave their family alone. Like, that could be a thriller.
Kind of like Cape Fear.
Yeah. And instead, it is a jaunty comedy starring Bill Murray.
Yes.
But no, he's right. He's right. And the fact that his family, no one takes it, like, they're all just like, he's just so sensitive and sweet. And it's like, it doesn't matter.
It's still wildly inappropriate.
It's still so inappropriate.
He's fun. He's fun.
He is fun. And Dr. Leo Marvin's not.
Yeah.
So...
I love that when he says at the end, and I know we're jumping way ahead, when he tries to blow up Bob.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
He says, you waltzed in here and were crazy enough to be fun.
Well, his family hadn't been having a lot of fun, I don't think.
No, they seem pretty bored. They seem pretty unhappy.
Yeah. And so Bob comes in and he really just shakes things up for them.
Don't hassle him. He's local.
Don't hassle him. He's local.
Yeah, so he gets... Dr. Marvin...
I hope you'll be posting a photo of me in this Halloween costume from...
For sure.
Several years ago on social media.
Oh,
yes.
For sure.
Perfect. So he gets there and he's told, obviously, like, you cannot be here, blah, blah, blah. Like, go to this coffee shop. I'll call you at 4 p.m. And that's where he meets the Gutmans, who, lucky for him, have a vendetta against Dr. Leo Marvin because he came in with a big fat stack of cash and bought their dream house from under them.
I'm not really buying this. Like, again.
Do you think the Gutmans really had saved that much money for that house?
Yeah. Again, like, did Leo was he a prick about it at some point? I mean, probably, because he's kind of a prick.
Yeah.
But like, did he maliciously like swoop down and like? I don't think he's in the wrong necessarily. Buy a house,
Right. But I can understand people being mad about. I can understand being like, we're hardworking people and we saved our money.
She's vengeful though.
She is vengeful. She never says that.
She's full of spit and venom.
Yeah.
And hate.
There's one thing being mad, and then there's another like physically like taking out.
Well, she is German, I believe. I mean, her name is Gutman, so.
So are we.
That's why I can say it.
That's right. Yeah. So he makes friends with them, and they are more than happy to not only tell them exactly where Dr. Marvin lives, but go ahead and just drop him off there.
Yeah. So again, the nightmare.
The
nightmare continues. Now he's at my house with my family,
who are just so charmed by him.
Yes,
it's like you keep getting these scenarios, especially in the beginning, where you think and he think Dr. Marvin thinks like, okay, I've pacified him. Mm-hmm. Like, I told him wait here. I'll give him a call. I'm gonna convince Then he shows up at the house and he's like, okay, we're gonna go take a little walk. I'm going to talk to him. He gives him a prescription to take a vacation from his problems.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, okay,
I'm on vacation.
Got it done.
You be on vacation. Yeah. We'll talk in my office in however many weeks.
Yeah, when he get back. Yeah. So he thinks, okay, no, never. Because he forgot Gil there. So he had to come back and get Gil.
Conveniently forgot Gil.
Conveniently
forgot. Is Bob
forgot.
gaslighting Dr. Marvin at this point?
I don't think that he has enough self-awareness to know anything that he's doing.
Yeah.
I don't. To the end. I just was flashing forward to thinking about the scene where Dr. Marvin is choking at dinner and Bill Murray is just like jumping up and down on his back with his knee and just really getting some air on that. He's really getting some air. Like, I don't think he knows what he's doing, though.
So I feel like the ironic thing is that, like, he's getting better. Bob is.
That's the thing.
Is that,
and
like,
there's
the
some
therapy
notes
of this, quote unquote, is working, as inappropriate as it is. He's getting better, and we see him become less of a germaphobe and become more open to doing things and being around people. And, like, when he goes sailing.
Hey, I'm sailing. He's tied to the like staff or whatever it is, like with a literal rope.
The staff.
He goes sailing.
The boat staff.
What's it called? You don't know.
The rig, probably.
I don't know.
Sounds cooler.
Someone who's into sailing, let me know
the part where the sail is up on. I'm guessing
the part that the sail is attached to.
I'm not rich enough to have a sailboat.
No, I'm not even rich enough to read about them and know the correct terms. Someone who is, tell me.
So,
he goes sailing.
He takes Dr. Marvin's advice, by the way, and takes a vacation from his problems. It just so happens that vacation is going to be in Lake Winnipesaukee, New Hampshire.
With his family.
So he is now on vacation.
Yeah. And so...
And he's staying with the Gutmans. Yeah.
And he's staying with the Gutmans. That's convenient. Well, for now.
For now.
So don't forget that Dr. Marvin has a very important Good Morning America interview.
Now he's set up shop.
Yeah, he's staying here. He's also going to
now
vacation
he's getting closer to my family. He's going sailing with my daughter and her high school friends.
That's normal. That's completely normal.
But again,
nothing.
He's getting better.
He is. I like the scene later on when he's, spending the night in their house. And he pulls his, like, hanky that he always used to open up doors, like, out of his pajama pocket. And he kind of, like, looks at it and it's just kind of like, oh, I forgot, like, I had that still. Because he's not been using it. Touching doorknobs all over the place,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing, is he is getting better.
Yes.
It's very funny.
So I feel like that there's only enough sanity for one of them.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point.
And as Bob gets better, in order for him to get better, Leo is going to have to get worse. Because all of this is really starting to break Leo down with the pressure of this big Good Morning America interview. This guy who
His
is
career
now, possibly menacing his family. It is at best being wildly inappropriate.
Yeah. Yes. Richard Dreyfuss starts to really unravel, and it's he does such a good job.
Yeah. So we have this little subplot of Siggy, his son, Dr. Marvin's son, being afraid to dive. He's been trying to dive for like 2 summers, and he's too afraid to dive off the dock. And then Bob ends up sort of helping him with it, and he accomplishes this. Siggy finally gets up the bravery to dive, and in the process of the commotion of everyone celebrating, Dr. Marvin pushes Bob off. He fucking like just shoulder checks him off the dock.
He really, I mean, it's very purposeful.
And I feel like we're gonna talk here in a minute about all the what Richard Dreyfuss and Bill Murray actually thought of each other, and I'd say Richard Dreyfuss probably enjoyed that.
I'm sure he enjoyed quite a few of the scenes where he had getting
to just fucking pounce Bill Murray off that dock into the lake.
Yep.
So this gets Bob an invite to dinner.
Yes, of course.
Which is, I know, one of your favorite scenes.
Oh God!
Because we have the aforementioned choking incident where Dr. Marvin chokes on a piece of.
But before that, this was one of our dad's absolute favorite movies, and we would just make this joke all the time that when they are at dinner. The whole Marvin family plus Bob, and they're having some corn on the cob, and
looks like fried chicken and mashed potatoes.
Yeah, good home cooked food.
Good Labor Day weekend.
And before you even see him, you hear him just like really enjoying his food. Just somebody eating and just like really unabashedly
being
enjoying
very
it
over the
for
top.
an uncomfortably long period of time.
Yeah. And they're all just kind of looking at each other, like smiling, like trying not to laugh.
And of course, Dr. Marvin is his thinly veiled rage.
Not amused at fucking all.
And finally, Bob is like, "Oh, Faye, this is so delicious. Is this hand shucked about the corn?" And God, just like anytime I'm ever really enjoying my food.
This is scrumptious, Faye.
This is that's what he says. Yeah. Is this hand shucked?
Is this hand shucked? And I like that she goes,
Yeah. Because she's Julie Haggerty.
She's Julie Haggerty.
So sweet.
Yeah, I did hand shuck it.
Now, I picked up on this last night.
Okay.
So you have this incident, Faye offers him another piece of chicken, and he takes the breast, which Dr. Marvin clearly wanted. So at this point, Dr. Marvin goes in the kitchen to get something, and they're kind of all talking or whatever, and Dr. Marvin starts to choke, and even though I know there is a piece of food in there, like, was he faking it at first? I kind of couldn't tell, like, if he was trying to direct attention back to himself and see if they would come in. And then it got to a point where I think he really was.
Yes, I think so. I think he tried to, like, no one's paying attention to me. There's a bit of, like, a look on his face. Yes. This would be a way, get the focus back on me. But then in fake choking, he makes himself actually choke. That's how I think so.
And then Bob, by jumping up and down on his back.
And I bet Bill Murray liked that.
I'm sure he did. Yeah. It literally just Richard Dreyfuss' face just squished against the couch, just like...
There's a lot of the last half of this movie, kind of from this point on, there's a lot of hilarious Richard Dreyfuss noises that are a lot like...
He starts to really... I mean, and I just imagine that's kind of what it was like having to work with Bill Murray. That was just a very genuine...
Just the reaction to
the reaction that he would have. Yeah. Well, and so then instead of anyone checking on Leo, everyone's just like, "Oh, Bob, you're such a hero!
Bob,
You
you
saved
did it."
him."
Now
Bob, you
this
did
gets
it.
him an invitation to stay the night. Well, this and the fact that there's a thunderstorm.
I love the scene where it's clearly like it's storming really bad, and Leo's like at the window, and Faye comes up to him to say something. He's like, "Shh, I think it's letting up." And I mean, it's just like clearly not
So
letting up.
desperate for him to leave.
Yeah. He says he can borrow his slicker.
Yeah.
And he can borrow my slicker. And then it just cuts to him sitting on the couch wearing his slicker, just waiting for the rain to let up. But it's 1 a.m. and it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So instead of, he says, I don't want, Good Morning America, they're going to be there in 6 hours.
Yeah. They're coming.
And he's like,
they're coming
they're
at
not
like
gonna see
7
this-
a.m., 6 a.m.
Yeah. He said, they're not going to see this guy sleeping on my couch.
This patient of
and
mine.
It's patient. And so Faye's like, well, there's an extra bed in Siggy's room. Now, would you not put your children in that room and the patient in the other room? Like, presumably Anna
the
is
man
staying
who has
in?
been able to, who has Rasputined himself into your family,
Yes.
in the course of like a day.
Like, even just that, like, would you want, like, a man you don't know very well to sleep in the same room as your, like, 10-year-old son?
That's a lot of trust you're putting in this guy. You don't know, and you know, in fact, to be severely mentally ill. Not saying
Right.
anything against mentally ill people at all.
Well,
like that,
sure.
of course.
No, mentally ill people are not inherently dangerous, but, like, I would say anybody, though. I mean, like,
any person
you
I
don't
just
know this
met.
person very well.
Any person I just met.
Yeah.
But that's what
well,
we
so
do.
he ends up... I actually really love the conversation that... Because Siggy is really obsessed with death at this age and has been for the last 2 years. He wears only black. He's not really goth yet. He's not, but
He's mourning his lost childhood, as he says.
That's what he says, yeah, which is great.
Yeah. As are we.
He's named after Sigmund Freud, and you think it's odd that he's having, like, this obsession with death, and, yeah. So I love the conversation, though, that they have, because one of the things that Bob is afraid of course, is dying. He's afraid of many things. And so he and Siggy have this good conversation. They're both laying in their respective beds. And Siggy's just kind of like, you're going to die. Like, I'm going to die. Everybody is going to die. And it's kind of, and he's just like, so if that's true, like, what is there to be afraid of? And it's just kind of like they both sort of come to this, like, realization.
Again, the irony of it's working,
that
and
he is
he's
getting better. I know. It's great. I love it.
I also
then,
love.
course,
I don't know if you notice this scene when they are tucking in Siggy and Bob.
Yes.
When Faye
goes
pulls
in
down the
head
bed, he
first.
goes in head first and makes her laugh. Like, apparently that was like a
like, genuinely, yeah.
that he just
She did
improv
know,
that,
yeah.
and made her actually laugh by diving in head first.
Well, they start doing the Tourette's, just like saying just random filthy
Right, which
things.
is something that he talks about in their initial interview when he
If he fakes it, he doesn't have it.
If I fake it, I don't have it.
And then he does some Tourette's. He does a impression of cardiac arrest.
Oh yeah.
He's just really yeah. So of course they get loud. Everybody has to come in. They have to retuck him in At this point, Justin, it must be like 2 a.m. The whole time I'm watching this, I'm
also,
thinking...
the biggest moment
Good
of Dr.
Morning
Marvin's
America.
career is like 5 hours away.
And you think that this is going to end with that it's going to be the interview. No, there's still like 30 minutes left.
The interview is when the interview is what breaks Dr. Marvin.
Yes.
Because basically Bob is there. The people from Good Morning America show up completely oblivious to this entire situation, and inadvertently kind of talk. The nightmare continues. Now he's going to be on the interview.
Okay.
Now he's going to be on this interview with me.
It's like every possible terrible thing that can happen is
just
happening.
keeps getting worse for him.
Yes.
Leo Marvin.
Yes.
Yeah, so Dr. Marvin comes off kind of terrible in it. He's uncharismatic and awkward and completely flustered that Bob is there.
Yes.
Bob, on the other hand,
very charming.
Very charming. Talks about how great Dr. Marvin is and how his therapy has worked. Ironically, which is, again, is true.
It is working.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this
All you have to do is let somebody infiltrate your family and completely take over and have absolutely no boundaries, and they're cured.
yes, that's all you have to do.
That's all you have to do.
So yeah, this kind of is the breaking point. I feel like
This really is.
this is
This is when he starts plotting.
this is when some scheming begins.
Right, because you have the Good Morning America wants to take a picture with everybody, and they're like, "Come on, Dad, take it." He's like, "No, that's fine. You all go ahead."
And now
you can just see him.
everybody,
He's like, "Okay."
literally in the country who watched this interview
Yes.
is on
Is just
is
so
on Team
charmed.
Bob. Now it's not just his family.
Yeah.
Now it's like everybody's
they're
like,
all
"Oh, that
wrong.
Bob is," and they're all wrong.
And they're all wrong.
And so he's like, "I'm the only person in the world who thinks that I'm right, and that this is inappropriate." Which
And he can't
again,
deal
it
with
is.
that.
Yeah. So it
is highly inappropriate.
So
yes.
he snaps.
He really does. What does he do from this point? He starts scheming.
He starts scheming and plotting. He tries to take Bob to an institution.
Yes.
Tries to get him committed.
He puts him on a 24-hour involuntary hold, right?
Yes.
And he's
but
like,
Bob
"Okay,
is
this'll buy
so
us some time."
cured and charming now, and making jokes like "Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm a schizophrenic, and so am I."
Just good
Charms
schizophrenia humor.
all the staff at the hospital, and they're like, "We're not holding him. He's fine.
He's so convinced. He's like, "Oh, 24 hours is all you're going to need to realize this guy
He'll be
is,
committed,
you
and
know."
you'll need
He'll need to be committed.
Give it an hour,
then,
and he'll be committed.
And they're like, "We're not going to hold him. He's great."
So he's back.
So then...
He's not gonna leave. He never leaves. And he opens
Is
the
this
door
when
and
he
he's
tries
standing
to-
there.
He's
not
tries to drop him
gone.
off in the woods.
Well, he takes him to the woods to blow him up a little.
That is great that he opens the door and he's just still there.
He's not gone.
Is this the new
He's
radical
never
therapy?
gone.
Richard Dreyfuss really is. They're both so good at what they're doing in this movie.
Yeah, and you know what? I really think we're gonna talk here in just a second about all this drama between the two actors.
Yeah.
It probably made this movie a lot funnier than it would have been otherwise.
They truly did not like each
Their
other.
performances.
Yeah.
So now we really get to have it out. After he is released from the mental institution. Okay, so
I'm trying to remember the order of things.
so that's when he has the
Does
flat
he try
tire.
to leave him in the woods?
Well, yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. And Bob makes his way back home.
Sure.
Doctor
Home, because he lives
home
there
because
now.
this is his home now. To Leo Marvin's home.
Yeah.
Keep in mind it's also Dr. Marvin's birthday.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
So all of this has happened on his birthday, his disastrous Good Morning America interview. This commitment ordeal.
Uh-huh.
Then he gets
Unsuccessful.
like a flat tire, I think, and gets like a car splashes mud up on him,
Oh, yeah.
and he goes,
Yeah.
"Son of a bitch and Bob."
That's so good.
But yes, he does. After he is not committed, he attempts to just abandon Bob in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Which is another great Richard Dreyfuss scream dialogue where he goes, "Get out of the car!"
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so good.
Yeah, so this culminates with a surprise party at Dr. Marvin's house. He comes back and he's traumatized from this whole Bob situation and his car trouble, and he's covered in mud, and he looks horrible, and there's like 200 people at his house for a big giant surprise party in the backyard.
Including his beloved
including
sister
his beloved
Lily.
sister Lily, who's in from Chicago, who he hasn't seen in a long time, and he's so happy to see his sister Lily.
Yeah.
And who's next to her with his arm around her?
Oh, God. It's Bob. It's fucking Bob. It's like a horror movie.
In like a jailhouse.
This is a horror
Rock
movie.
Black and white striped shirt, by the way.
I know what he looks like a mime
He does look like
at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
And I can only assume this is like Leo's clothes or
Oh,
something.
you know it's Leo's clothes. Like then that
Well,
you know
yeah, 'cause
that's
he had
just
to wear
like
his pajamas. Which I had noticed for the first time watching it last night, how short the pajama, like how small
Yeah.
the pajama shirt looks. I never really noticed that before. It's not really exaggerated, but it's there.
Yeah.
Like the sleeves are too short for it. Yeah. Yeah. So he's charmed everybody.
Yep. And
Everybody at his house. Even his sister.
Bob's in the family now. All it took was like one weekend.
Yep. That's it.
Bob's a member of the family now.
Yeah.
And no one else sees it. No one else
Nope.
sees how weird and wrong it is.
Oh God. It's a nightmare.
So
it is a nightmare.
finally he snaps in front of everybody with the another wonder, the culmination of the Richard Dreyfuss scream dialogue in this movie, which is "Don't touch my sister." And he leaps and attacks Bob, and they roll and
Yeah.
knock over the cake, and it's a whole big scene.
It's a whole ordeal.
Yeah.
And then he tries to blow Bob up.
Yeah. Yes. Well, then he escapes captivity. No, he's resting upstairs, and he ends up escaping the house, breaks into like a hardware store, steals like guns and a bunch of gunpowder, and attempts.
I mean, he's full on.
Like
He is.
At this point, it's very like Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote. You know,
It is. It is.
like he's hunting
I'm gonna
wabbits.
get that wascally wabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He attempts to blow Bob up. It doesn't. You know, it doesn't work.
Of course.
He ties him up. He walks him
He's
through the
never
woods at
gone.
gunpoint. He has a bomb vest essentially made and puts on Bob. None of this works. You cannot get
No.
rid of Bob. Yeah. So
He comes home, only to find that Bob is there,
yes.
holding a big birthday cake,
Ready.
ready to do a redo of the party
Yep.
in his mime shirt. And Dr. Marvin says, "Where's that? What the vest or the whatever? Like, where's that stuff I had around your neck?" And he's like, "Oh, it's in the house." And then they turn, and their big, beautiful house blows up.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
The
the final,
continues.
the really like
the final nail
the
in
house-
the coffin. I've taken
Yeah,
your
the
family.
house is
I've
like
taken your
this-
house. I've taken your career.
your life basically
In a
I am the
weekend.
new- He even says at one point, after he goes upstairs, like after they, or like at this one he says like, "I'll be daddy," or like I'll be something.
I'll be the daddy.
I'll be the daddy, or something like really. Again, this is like a horror movie. The more we're talking about it, the more I'm like,
Yes.
this is This is Richard Dreyfuss's nightmare.
Yeah, and
This
I
is
really,
scarier
really
than Jaws.
sympathize. This is scarier than Jaws. I'd rather be in that cage with that shark coming after me, under the water, and than have to deal with this situation.
Yeah, this is truly a nightmare.
Yeah, I'd be like, at least this
and
shark
the
attack
house
isn't going to
was really
last
the
all
last-
weekend.
No, it's going to be over.
It's going to be over
quick.
pretty quick.
Pretty quick.
I'm going to be in multiple pieces.
PDQ. No, it is the house. I feel like is like this big shining example of, or like, you know, proof of his success, that they got this big beautiful house at Lake Winnipesaukee. You know,
He's on his way up.
it's
He's
like
arrived.
yes, this is where they're going to interview him. Like all this stuff. So the house blowing up really is the last.
Yeah.
It's the last straw, and he basically goes into a catatonic state.
Yes. This movie ends
is
with
it.
him broken. A broken
And Bob
shell of a
marrying
man,
his
and Bob
sister.
marries his sister, just as the extra icing on the cake. And now, again, the irony comes full circle. Bob's the happy one. Bob's the one
Yeah.
with the wife and the family
Yeah,
and
I love.
the success.
I love when they're doing their vows, you know, and they ask her like, will you stay or whatever? And Bill Murray's like really nervous, and she says, "I do," and he just was like really overly exaggerated, like relieved. And then, well, and then they pan to Richard Dreyfuss, who is just basically drooling in a wheelchair, and when they ask if there's anyone who, what do they ask?
Anyone who objects.
Objects, that's the word I'm looking for. Anyone who objects, and they pan to him, and this is what finally the them being married is what finally knocks him out of his stupor.
Yeah, he's
and
back.
they're all so happy that he's back.
Yeah.
Including Bob, who gives him a big
who's
kiss
very
on the
happy
cheek.
that he's back.
Very happy. He loves Dr. Leo Marvin.
Yes.
It's his hero.
And now that
So much so that he's stolen his life.
This is now this is Dr. Leo Marvin's life. He has to live in this Twilight Zone world, this episode, where everyone's different and he's the same.
Oh man, it is dark.
It is.
It's darker than I thought. Now that we're talking about it, I'm like, this is a very dark movie.
Yeah.
But God, is it good?
But it's very funny.
And so we've hinted many times throughout the episode that these two actors really did not like each other.
Yeah, let's just talk for a minute about the behind-the-scenes stuff, because the behind-the-scenes stuff is pretty interesting, and really seems to drive home what an asshole Bill Murray likely is.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah,
I mean, say this as a Bill Murray fan. I kind of with what we've got a couple quotes here. Kind of with Richard Dreyfuss on this one. Like, if I don't like him, he makes me laugh every time. You know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, you can find someone funny and not want to work with them.
Yeah. So there was a lot of tension between Richard Dreyfuss and Bill Murray, and it really seems like it was Bill Murray's doing.
And I don't think this was not prior to this movie or anything.
No,
this was
I don't think they'd ever
as
worked
they were
together.
filming this movie,
And they certainly haven't worked together since.
No.
And I believe Richard Dreyfuss is retired, so.
Yeah.
So Bill Murray addressed it in an interview in '93 with Entertainment Weekly. He says, it's entertaining. I've got a couple quotes here that I'm just going to just go through word for word addressing this. Bill Murray says, it's entertaining. Everybody knows somebody like that Bob guy. Richard Dreyfuss and I didn't get along on the movie particularly, but it worked for the movie. I mean, I drove him nuts, and he encouraged me to drive him nuts. Okay, so that's Bill Murray. Richard Dreyfuss, how about it? Funny movie, terribly unpleasant experience. We didn't get along, me and Bill Murray, and I've got to give it to him. I don't like him, but he makes me laugh even now. I'm also jealous that he's a better golfer than I am. It's a funny movie. No one ever comes up to you and says, I identify with the patient. They always say, I have patients like that. I identify with your character. No one ever says they're willing to identify with the other character. Okay, so, not...
At least in the real world.
Yeah, and we're not too unpleasant at this point. You know, it's just saying, like, it's an unpleasant experience, you know.
Yeah,
I didn't have fun.
We didn't get along, but, you know,
we didn't get along. He
makes me laugh.
But, yeah. Not
kind of maybe a frenemy almost situation.
Yes. Frank Oz, the director, also has acknowledged this situation in an interview with Rolling Stone. He says, I was just trying to get the best out of both of them. Richard is a very structured person, and I'm not that structured, and Billy is very unstructured. So you have that opposite going also, and as a matter of fact, I just wrote Richard a letter after all these years because I was looking at that movie and I realized how brilliant Richard's work was. But yes, they didn't get along, and in my perverse directorial intent, I was very pleased. And he laughs. They're not supposed to get along. It's not that I was simpatico with Bill, but I leaned more toward the ideas that Bill had. But I'm so grateful to Richard for his performance. So, okay, we're still, you know, fairly civil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, here's where we start to escalate.
Yeah.
2019, Richard Dreyfuss further alleges that at one point during the production, Bill Murray screamed at him while intoxicated, telling him, everyone hates you, you are tolerated, and then threw an ashtray at him.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah.
Then Murray appears on the Howard Stern show. Stern asked him if he intended to irritate Dreyfuss, and he responded, I really try to make the other actor look good whenever I can. In this particular film, annoying Dreyfuss, which I kind of got to enjoy, I gotta confess. But I didn't try to annoy him off the screen. So we get a little more into this, and this has all been pretty recent, actually, that all of this has sort of come out about how unpleasant Bill Murray was on set. Producer Laura Ziskin said that she had a disagreement with Murray that resulted in him tossing her into a lake. I guess the lake from the movie.
Yeah. Threw her in a fucking lake.
So that's assault. You can't do that.
Yep, you can't just throw another person in a lake.
No, don't do that.
Dear God.
Ziskin confirmed in 2003. Okay, so this is much earlier than I was initially thinking. Bill also threatened to throw me across the parking lot and then broke my sunglasses and threw them across the parking lot. I was furious and outraged at the time, but having produced a dozen movies, I can safely say it is not common behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that seems unpleasant. Last year, now I remember this because there is Bill Murray drama about a movie called Being Mortal that
Okay. Oh, that's the movie that
suspended, the production
That
suspended
shut
because
down.
of his apparent antics on set. Inappropriate. I was never really clear on exactly what it was.
I'm not really sure either, to be
But
honest.
yeah,
I thought it was.
and a lot of this is kind of coming out, about how sort of
Right, I
unpleasant
mean-
he has been to work with. So Richard Dreyfuss' son, Ben Dreyfuss, after this whole thing comes out with Being Mortal, tweets out a story and says, Bill Murray had a meltdown during What About Bob because he wanted an extra day off, and Laura said no. I assume Laura Ziskin, the producer,
Yeah,
who he threw in the
yeah.
lake. And he ripped her glasses off her face, and my dad complained about his behavior, and Bill Murray threw an ashtray at him. So that kind of pieces together a few little anecdotes we got there.
Yeah.
Ben also added, everyone walked off the production and flew back to LA, and it only resumed after Disney hired some bodyguards to physically separate my dad and Bill Murray in between takes.
Holy shit.
So it got to that point. Yeah.
That is wild.
That's intense.
That's intense.
And that seems like
is-
Bill Murray.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I'd be pissed off too if someone was pulling that shit when I was just trying to do my job.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like, I said it's not like he's like being method where he's like staying in this Bob character. He's just being impossible to work with, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just being dramatic and arrogant and inappropriate. I mean, you can't assault people.
No.
You can't fucking do that. And now you really, it's a lot harder to do that sort of thing in Hollywood.
Good.
Thank God.
Good. I
And
hope it gets harder.
so yeah, now people are getting called out for that, as they should.
As they should.
So it kind of sucks. This is one of my favorite movies. It kind of sucks to know that they hated each other, but I do think that
It also kind of works though for the movie, and that
it does kinda
that
work.
is sort of the whole thing. So
Yeah.
I don't really care that they didn't like each other. Like,
yeah, I do care that he assaulted.
I do care.
the
I do
producer.
care about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I care about that. That didn't add anything to the film, but him and Richard Dreyfuss not liking each other, I think, probably made that relationship very believable. And there's always like
It made Richard Dreyfuss's therapeutic screams of rage in the last
man.
third of this movie probably
Yeah.
all that more authentic.
Yeah, he got to walk him out by gunpoint. You
Yeah.
know, he got to do a lot of good stuff. Got to push him in a lake,
Yeah, throw him out.
Yeah, I
Throw
bet
him
he
out
was
of the
having-
car.
throw him out of a car, but he was get out of the car. I bet he was having a good time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is a movie club, Justin. So you know what we have to do now.
Well, we got to induct this shit, right?
All right. Well, now you're always good at making it official. So what do you got for us today?
Well, I'll let you provide some fanfare.
Sure,
But I
sure.
say we officially, as of June the 4th in the year of our Lord, 2023, hereby induct 1991's What About Bob into the Cool Kids Movie Club Hall of Fame.
Man, this was one of your best ones yet.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, where can the good people of the world who are listening, where can they find more episodes of Cool Kids Club?
Probably wherever you found this one. You can go.
Yeah.
You can go on Apple Podcasts. You can go on Spotify. You could go on Google. You could go to coolkidsclubpod.com. You could, just find us. Find us. Do it.
Find us wherever. Leave us a review if you enjoy our episodes.
Absolutely. If you
can
don't
also find
enjoy our
us-
episodyes, don't write anything.
Just if you don't have anything
just
nice to say,
keep
don't
it to yourself.
Just keep it
And
to
that's
yourself.
fine.
Yeah, just pull the opposite of Bill Murray and just keep it to yourself. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Instagram and Twitter at Cool Kids Club Pod. You can also find us on Facebook by searching for Cool Kids Club Podcast.
Yes.
Yes. I am on Instagram personally at Amy Reads TN. And Justin, you are...
I'm at Lousy with Ghosts on Instagram. I'm always there, lurking, creeping, posting pictures of toys and cats and what movies I'm watching and all of that good stuff.
Memes and whatnot.
Memes and
Things
whatnot.
that make us chuckle.
Sensibly chuckle.
As always, we want to say thank you to Brian Hey Guys Wakefield. And in fact, when we recorded...
I was just about to say this, but yes.
When we recorded our Muppet Babies episode last week, I did not know that Brian was working on a new theme song for us, and that we were going to have it. So at the end of our episode when we recorded, we did not give him a special thank you.
So here is your special thank you for the wonderful doo-wop
oh my god
edition.
Doo-wopified
edition
of our theme song for our last
we got some
Muppet
comments
Babies
on that. People enjoyed that.
Oh, good. And I think it's funny that we are following it up by doing a movie directed by Frank Oz, because the Muppet connection is deep.
Yes.
And it's just, we just keep talking about Muppets on this podcast.
I mean, the Muppets are in the DNA of the Cool Kids Club.
Just can't quit talking about these Muppets.
Our mom's eyes have glazed over now at this point. From the podcast.
She has turned off the podcast,
she is no longer listening.
No,
so we can say whatever we want. But all I have to say is stay cool.
Stay cool.
Just stay cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.